As always, everything that we're going to be going over is for educational purposes and not investment advice. So let's take a look. Let's kind of watch this real time and then we'll get to the questions. We can see right here we come to 1050. There really isn't much holding it down at the moment. We can see there's really no orders out there on the ask side. Okay, we just had a bunch of refreshing coming at that 1050. Someone just took a real big position right here. Okay, we're coming up to our volume spike right now. It looks like this thing is going to explode. Now, I called it out right here on this pullback to 1025 before. Unfortunately, I put the wrong stock in there. I don't know why. Just for some reason, SRPT and SDRL keep getting confused in my mind. But let's take a look. I really have not seen much selling coming up to this volume spike. Looks like we're coming right above. The orders are thickening out on the ask a little bit, but it looks like we're about to explode. I call it wine. So we have a few of those orders coming out, but you got to look too. I mean, the orders, you have everything less than 10,000. So we're coming back above that level. 10,000 is absolutely nothing for a stock that's trading 30 million shares. Looks like it's coming in. Now, also, let's not just look at the ask, keep our eyes over here on the bid side as well, because what we want to see is we want to see people coming in and adding to these orders to keep a little bit of a wall up there just so it doesn't get executed back down. One of those things that we see, and you'll see this a lot like on a bull flag or a consolidation pattern. Once it explodes, a lot of times it comes right back down on profit taking. So right now, I mean, you don't see any of 2400 at 1050, which is really nothing. It looks like we have enough room to get to 1075 fairly easily. Okay, let's look at time and sales. Let's count the people that are coming out here. Really haven't got much above yet, but we're still right at that level. This thing is giving us a lot of time to enter. Here's some follow through coming in. And here we go. Ask side still, I mean, really not much out there that's holding it back yet. Somebody just sold a decent position. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people just came in and sold right under that 1060. Okay, now this is what we want to see. See how we just got right here at that 1055? See how we got an 8,000 shares? Somebody's adding to their order here at 1055. Nothing holding it back on the ask right now. This is a great trade, right? Gave us plenty of time to enter. We knew where the volume, we knew where to anticipate. Hey, here we go. Still don't, it's pulling back a little bit, but you got to remember, just because the orders are real thin out there, still haven't seen really anyone come in and sell that much. 1075, little order at 1078 that's been holding it back just a little bit. Even ourselves, you can see 1, 2, the people selling, they're not even selling 1,000 shares. So we are seeing this, it pulled back pretty drastically based off of just how thin the orders are out there. But still no real selling that's going to push this thing back down. Here we go. A bunch of people just came in and are buying now. Little order at 1075, but once again, with 30 million shares, it's trading 121,000 per minute. That 5,000 share order at 1075 isn't going to do anything. Here, see, right here at 1370, we had the person from down below or follow the stock back up. So now their order's at 1070. They were at 1055. So even though we keep seeing some drastic pullbacks, there's really not anything to show us to sell. We haven't seen anyone really come out there and sell. Our bid orders are following us up the stock. Now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, 7, 8, 9 just came in and sold. A little bit of selling coming in now. Okay, so that person that was just below us just got executed. What we want to do is we want to see somebody come back in here and start adding to those orders. 1,800, 1,400, really nothing holding it up right now. Oh, here we go. A few more orders coming in at 1065. Propping it up a little bit. We're looking at time and sales. We haven't really had much selling since those like 9-ish people came in to sell. So that's another good sign for us to at least get up to 11. All right, looking at our ask side, it's a little bit stacked compared to our bid side, but it's going to take a lot less to move this down than it will to go to make it go up. But I mean, that's the case in 99% of stocks that we're ever going to be out there watching. If we look, we're building a nice bullish consolidation. The orders are stacking up for us again. You can see now our stacked orders on the ask, a lot of them were taken off. So let's see how thin they got. It's another good sign for us going long. And pop. 1085. We look at our orders. I don't really see anything until a little bit below 11. Let's make sure that we have, so we have 18,000 here at 1070 now. So we have somebody that came back down. We want to see this person move their orders up a bit. Okay, so now we have 7,800 at 1085. Still don't really see much holding it back until 11. Time and sales, we see a lot of buying coming in. This is the first person I've seen sell in the past 15, 20 seconds. Okay, someone's in at 1090 here. We just had 15,000 shares jump in. Still, once again, I mean, 15,000 shares it's not going to hold it down, but I mean, it could easily eat through there, but it is compared. If we look relative to the other orders out there, it is pretty substantial, but we do have our 17, almost 18,000 still here at 1070. Just see lots of buying. There we go. Looks like calling it wine worked, Liz. Now coming up to 11, we have 17,000 shares sitting up there, which once again, in relative, it is a big order relative to the other orders out there. But if this thing wants to eat through it, 17,000 shares is absolutely nothing. We're up to almost 150,000 shares a minute. This thing is trading right now. Volume very consistent. There we go. Here's 11. They added a little bit to that order, but let's see it start to get eaten. See, it's part of it starting to get executed, and we go. Beautiful. All right, so now let's look what our next spot is. Right now, 11 is our support level. Okay, we've got to make sure our orders are following itself up. This guy's still at 1070. I would like to see him move his order up a little bit. Okay, 10,000 at 1080 now. This same person is still here, same two people still there at 1070. But we want to see some orders start moving up the line. A little bit of selling coming in. There we go. All right, so now we just had 12,000 come in on the bid side. It pulled pretty quickly, so S side looking to about 1130. Let's just look at our volume. Our volume is still consistent. Not much selling coming in. Okay, few people getting out. Still don't really see any reason not to be in it anymore. I haven't seen any, there's no real selling coming in. Our volume is actually picking up. Okay, our S side orders, really nothing much there. We look over at 11. We have 10,000 shares still sitting there. I'd like to see a little bit more, but all right, here we go. Someone just heard me. Now we're at almost 13,000. Time and sales lighting up green. Can't ask for anything other than that when we're long. Few people came in and sold at 1109, but nothing too substantial. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 kind of followed it, but all small positions. Now we have 25,000 at 11. So see how we can see that order keep coming up? That's exactly what we want to see. Even though that selling's coming in, it's going to take a lot to eat this thing. That kind of just acts as a safety net for us. Well, Tracy, it's funny when I was looking at it before, and that's why I said when it was coming on CNBC, it's odd how they always come on at these perfect timings. So it came on, but we knew exactly we were in a setup for a perfect position right there. So as long as it broke that 1050, everything looked perfect. So if that's what it took to give that boost, but even if it didn't come on CNBC, I bet you we would have got this same type of movement. Okay, a bunch of selling coming back in. Still have 22,000 shares sitting at 11. Let's see now if this person gets executed and they start adding to their order, then there's no reason to get out. But we do see a lot of selling coming on. So let's see, it's all the way down to 3,000. Yep. What we want to see is when the stock pulls back like this, we want to see people adding to the bid order. Because if they're not, then that buying interest is no longer there to hold the stock back up. All right. So tell me, who took this? Beautiful. All right. So somebody tell me what you guys learned from this. Liz learned to say wine when she wants the stock to move up. Well, whatever works. I don't care what you have to say. Okay, but what are some things that we just learned from this trade? Watching adding on the bid. Okay, very important. Listen to Rich. Well, that's when we talked about this the other day, but I don't just keep the time and sales next to the matrix for the hell of it. Yeah, because you have to see both things that are going on. The orders that are being put out there are, not as important as the orders being executed, but they're huge. Because if we know what the orders are being put out there, we have an idea of what the people are trying to do. Watch orders follow you up and orders being pulled. Okay. Volume. Well, if we look at volume, one of the biggest things about this is you could see like right here, see these big volume spikes and then the stock just kind of crushes down. Look at this entire trade. Do you notice something about the volume? What's different about this volume as when the volume of when the stock kind of just popped up to get to that 1050 the first time? What do we notice? Consistency. Exactly. It was very consistent throughout our entire trade. Okay, so once we start to see volume start to die down a little bit, doesn't mean we're going to get out of the trade. It just means that it's going to take less for the stock to, less shares out there for the stock to do anything. I mean, we're coming back up to 11, and volume's still, I mean, it's a little dip, but it's still very consistent. I mean, now this is not an easy level type beginner stock to trade. This is a hard stock to trade and to read. If we looked out there, did we really see many prints above 1,000? And the ones we did, most of them were in between, and they were very sporadic. But if we look out there on the orders, okay, like for instance, there's 1,000, 2,000, but it's made up of three people. We weren't going to be able to see many thousands. But everything else lined up. The orders out there lined up. The point it was coming to. We were right at a major level. Okay, we saw one of the biggest reasons for that made this trade, kind of easy to see was on both times that it came up to this 1050 point. Look at we had volume breakouts on both times. Okay, so what else could we really ask for? I mean, the stock was telling us what it wanted to do. We just had to be ready for it. Would that have been a pullback entry? I'm looking all over the place, Jay. I really didn't see it. I mean, I could say yes just because it happened, but didn't really see it. I was looking back at the questions. You'd be surprised how hard it is to talk, to read questions, to read time and sales, to read the orders, and do it all at the same time. It takes lots of practice. All right, but I mean that's just right there. That's a textbook trade. You know how we talk about variables? Well, every variable, not only did every variable kind of just line up there, but then we added another variable of it being on CNBC, which it was just, I mean, you can't really ask for much more than this. This was just a gift. And remember, that when we get gifts like this, we have to take them because this is what, this is how trading becomes easy. When you find things like this and when it just lines up perfectly. Now, yeah, was it moving fast? Was time and sales harder to read than usual? Yeah, big deal. You guys all made money on it, right? That's why just because the stock's moving fast, just because, the orders are a little bit thinner out there, doesn't mean we can't trade them. It's just you have to focus a lot more. Someone write a kind email to CNBC for us. I'm not really a big fan of the financial channels, but when they do stuff like this for us, you got to thank them. All right, does anyone have any questions on what we just went over? I mean, I wish we could do this every week, but it doesn't happen very often where at 12:30 something lines up this perfectly for us. Although we've been finding a bunch of them lately. All right, so let's take a look. I know I don't really have too many questions, but that a lesson in itself when you catch something live, I mean, there's really no better lesson than that. You could go back on questions and at the end of the day, when you see it actually happening, when it's really developing, that's the best way you're going to learn. Would you look for another pullback entry, another entry at this pullback? Absolutely. Why not? Now, I don't like how volume has died. I don't like how it's kind of in a bearish pennant. So, I I don't see much, excuse me, much room for it to go long yet. But I mean, looking at time and sales right now, I look on the left-hand side, I really don't see too much selling. I see nothing but buying on the actual time and sales. So if it goes above 11, take it again. Obviously based off of everything lining up again. You're not just going to take it because it goes above 11. Sorry. Watching the bid. What do you mean, Tracy? But you got I want you guys to remember another thing. If bid doesn't get orders, not as strong. Of course. Because remember, if there's no orders, if there's, let's say there's just 100 shares down here and there's a 20-cent spread on it, all it takes is 100 bid for it to go. So if we don't get those orders that are out here, it's a lot easier for, when the people are and the retail selling comes in, for them to just eat up these orders. So the more orders, when we have those big orders that we could see how when we followed them up, and then the guy that we followed up got executed, and then look, our stock was over. Stock came down almost 25 cents from there. We want to see now. Do you need them? No, technically a stock can go up without having those bid orders back there, but it's just like having a safety net. All right, one more time. Any questions on anything we just went over? Nice little beginning to our exchange. We're all set. Oh, and I got sidetracked for a second, but Jay, I want you to think about something. So we look at the average volume here, and if we just draw just a line across, now this isn't the actual average, but just kind of bringing a line across, we have about 138,000 shares, and that's just on the top of the bars. If we stack these bars up, let's just say, let's double it. So let's say 250,000 shares we're trading each minute during that entire trade. Okay, so if we look over here, okay, 51,000. So if we stack them on top and we just double them, so let's say 100,000 are still trading. Okay, even though volume is dropping, can we still trade this? Ooh, some big prints over 11. If you get follow through right now, that's another great trade. Yeah, of course. I understand volume's dropping, but when we look at it through, the relative of how much volume's actually out there. I mean, there's no way that volume is going to sustain itself trading 250,000 shares a minute. I mean, the amount of shares it would trade would just be astronomical. But just because the volume dropped on it, it's still pretty. See how it's consistent? The thing is that when we trade, we don't want drastic differences within our volume. Now, drastic difference is good, it's good to start, to spike a stock up. But if we look, see how once the stock, it comes back, it comes right back down. Okay, on this one, we had considered we had a volume spike that came in right where we expected it to, right about here. So right over that 1050 level, right in this area. But then look what happens. See how volume stayed consistent? If we try to trade on just one volume spike, it's what you call pop and drop. It comes back up, but then it goes right back down. Yeah, I'm seeing very good things for this in its near future. I've seen nothing but good follow through over those big prints. We had somebody came in with about over 1,000 prints right at like 1104, 1105, and then some great follow through just came in. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Pop. See, and then look, see how it's funny that the second it comes back right to where that volume spike was, it goes and we see volume come in again. Now, the one thing that you have to remember too is that when you're using these volume spikes, these plus signs, okay, look at our average volume. Our average volume got so high, we just got a volume spike here, but it's not going to mark a plus sign, okay, because it's going to have to be 100% over this average. So it's almost, once again, it's like using a crutch. Now, if your platform doesn't put, you're using a platform that doesn't put those out there, okay, all you have to do is kind of just look at these abnormal spikes. So see how we have right here. This is one of the best ways to actually look for trades. So let's say we miss this coming up. See how we come back down into this valley? This volume comes into a valley. So we see it drastically come up. On that bar that it pops up past that valley usually shows consistency within it. Does everyone understand what I mean there? So once we break past that valley, a lot of times you'll see a consistent volume that at that point after this valley is over. I mean, if you look over a longer period of time here, you can see, so we go into this valley, and then once it pops past that valley, see how we got that consistent volume? Now, this is on a smaller scale right here, But we can see that volume's starting to be, get pretty consistent again over this little valley here. We look back down for 1125, we have 4,600 shares. I'd like to see more, but we look on the right now on the S side, we look at 1150. I don't see much there. We have a little order of 14,000 shares, but see how right now, see how we have this order following us up, this 10,000 shares coming up as we're going. It's providing us a little bit of a safety net. Now, if that guy gets executed and we don't see him put more orders out there or keep that order, that means he's not trying to hold it up. But see how right after, see how we just got another big order that came right after that other order got executed? That's showing us a good sign for the stock to go the long side. Now, it works the same way on the S side. If we come up here at 11:50, we see this person start to get executed, but they keep adding orders here, okay, then that means the stock is pretty much setting up to go lower because this person is just continuing to try to sell. So the more selling that we see being put on there, I mean, the orders, you got to remember, the orders that are out there on the matrix, the book viewer, whatever, level type 3 total view thing that you're using, okay, the orders that are being put out here have just too much to do with the reaction of what people are doing here. 126,000 at 1149 right now. See that? And a lot of people, I don't know what other drugs that they have, that they're doing on the side, but it looks like a lot of people like this thing. I mean, this is an astronomical position. More than likely, it wasn't entirely the same person, but that's a lot of shares that we just saw right above there. And if we look, we see our bid side, we see the order keeps following us back up. Now, it's a little bit more added to this here at 1150, but they do antiviral drugs. Okay. See, I don't know how to interpret that, but what it does mean is that it makes for some makes it for some easy trades.